Luc Bouchard with Solvac Life Coaching Services. I've been a certified life skills coach for 22 years and I specialize in men's issues and what men do to keep themselves emotionally distanced and safe from intimacy. Welcome. Today is the 33rd day of the 72-day challenge. Our weekly theme is men keeping themselves safe. Our daily focus is parental differences, and the topic today is ways in which fathers avoid intimacy with their children. Thank you for joining me once again on another video, and I'm really quite passionate about this topic. Well, I'm passionate about all the topics I speak to, but this is one that I think needs to be addressed and needs to be looked at, and that is how men disengage from their kids or how they don't engage to begin with. So in the many years I worked with children, I was I think well over a decade that I actually was involved with kids and families, and then that was in residential childcare, and then another 5 or 6 years actually working within families. I noticed these very consistent behaviors that fathers would engage, or the fathers would do, that would actually leave them detached from their kids, where they wouldn't actually be really emotionally engaged with their kids. And they may be physically present, but they're emotionally gone. And so I've come up with a list of observations I made throughout the years of working with men on how they actually distance themselves emotionally and what that looks like. And two ways that they do that is they're physically absent. One is physically absent and one is emotionally absent. So the physically absent one is going to be that they work all the time when they don't have to, and that they're gone at work. So they come home, they work, or they work all day, and this is a pattern over years. This is crunch time, we got to get it done. This is the mode of operation on how they actually go about, are always around that. Or they work, and then they're gone physically other ways because they're off doing other tasks or doing other things. I've noticed that there are some fathers out there that are in perpetual renovation mode, that they are actually never not renovating their house one way or another. And it's a great way to be able to justify and rationalize why they don't have to help with the kids, and that they're always doing something around the house. There's something else that needs to be done. And I've seen this go on for in one particular instance, 5, 7, 8 years, where it's just, oh, can't do it. We got to do the flooring. Oh, now we have to do the drop ceiling, or now we have to, the roof needs to be looked at. And these are not, these are men that could actually outsource it, that could afford to get other tradespeople to do it. But it's my house, so I want to take care of it, which I understand and I get. But when you're doing it for years and years and years, it makes you wonder. And also, that doesn't even speak to the stress within the relationship, as to how the couple are coping with constantly having this. And I think if you want to test a relationship with your marriage, do a renovation. There's a great way of figuring out how strong your marriage is. Anyway, I digress. So physically they're gone, and other ways that men are disengaged from their kids is emotionally. They're just basically, they're present, but they're not really emotionally there. And this really speaks to the idea of being quality time versus quantity time. So they may be spending quantity with their kids, but they're really not emotionally involved with their kids. So ways that we see that is TV, their addictions, whatever addiction is, the internet, that's something that men disengage with there. So they're checking their emails, or they're looking stuff online, and they can say that they're with their kids for, a full Saturday, but were they really with their kids? No, they weren't. Other ways I've noticed that fathers disengage from their kids and not be emotionally involved with them is not willing to learn new parenting skills. And this is a fallback position to language around, well, it was good enough for me. My dad did that. So, he was heavy with the hand, and, I turned out okay. Well, okay, well, that's another, how you turned out okay is another conversation. The thing is, is it appropriate for today? And is that what we do today? Because back then it may have been appropriate, but maybe, but is it good enough for today? And I can't help but think of when I was 4, I was in foster care for, I don't know, 4 months. And all my siblings and I were in foster care. And after my mom got us back, she tells us of a story of our foster father. Basically, she witnessed him hitting one of his foster children with an actual 2x4 to engage in correcting his behavior. And she called the police, the RCMP, and said, he's doing this. And the RCMP's response was, mind your own damn business. He's the foster dad and he's taking care of that. And so at one point in the 60s, that was acceptable behavior and no one really questioned it. Today, I think there'd be a lot of, well, I know there would be a lot of questions and I know there'd be charges against that. So what happened back then is not necessarily, wasn't necessarily okay, but is not reason to go, oh, I just to do it because I was okay that way. And that's another way of men basically not having to engage their kids because they're, well, that's the way it is. Good enough for me. Going, and we're going to talk about how you felt when your father did that. That's another conversation altogether. So something else I see that men, how they disengage with their kids and not take responsibility and be involved with them is forced helplessness. Where it's just like, oh, I can't figure it out, or oh, I really don't, you know, it's, you're never happy about how I dress the kids, so you do it. You know, then that conversation really be about, does it really, how can I do that differently, or does it really matter that much that the socks match the headband? Is that really what we need to be arguing about? And how come that's what we're focusing on as opposed to the fact I'm doing it and whether it's being done right versus done your way? These are different conversations than going, I'm not going to do it because I can't get it right. I don't want to wash, I don't want to change your diaper wrong. And it's this kind of, I can't do it. And that's forced helplessness. As opposed to saying, well, I'll do it and I'll figure it out, and and if you don't like it, then we have to have that conversation. But I'm taking responsibility, and I'm going to do it. And lastly, I would say that one of the other ways I've seen men not engage their kids and be not involved with them is not making them a priority. And this comes from, it's not really their job mentality, amongst other things. That's really the wife's job, and I bring home the paycheck, and I put the roof over the head, and I'll be the enforcer. But really, the day in and day out type of stuff, that's the woman's work, barefoot and pregnant. And we still have those belief systems. They're called the traditional family roles, and so it's really not my job. The reasons that I would suggest that men engage in this kind of not taking responsibility for their kids is there's several reasons for it. But really there's something propping it up for most of them. Some of the reasons are that this is what was modeled to them by their fathers. So they don't know any differently. This is what they think is okay. And they also have married into they've married women that also have those belief systems, so the women let them off the hook. Women basically go, okay, yeah, that's what my father was like, so this is what my husband's like. And we really do marry partners that are similar to our own partners, and that's disturbing for people when you realize you married your mother, or you married your father in so many ways of their behaviors. But really, if you look at how we make choices, it's for comfort and our point of reference. So a lot of men will engage in this kind of not taking responsibility for their kids because they haven't learned that, and their partners actually support it and don't challenge it any differently. Other reasons that men do this is that they don't know what to do differently, and they're really at a loss. I don't know how to engage my kids differently because it was never modeled to me. And some of them, it's just easier. When I worked with a lot of families that they wouldn't deal with their difficult adolescence because they just were, it was just too much work. And the adolescents made their life, their teenagers made their life hell. And I get that, I understand that. But when your kids' behaviors are so out of control or they're so problematic and they're suffering in their school and they're suffering in their self-esteem and they're making bad choices, I don't know what to do is no longer a good enough excuse. It's not a viable reason why you basically disengage and allow your kids to do what they do. And ultimately, what I think really drives why men are disengaged from their kids and not taking responsibility is that they're disengaged from themselves, which is a consistent theme you hear me talk about. They're not emotionally available to themselves, so how are they emotionally available to their kids? And therefore, they disengage and they're not present with them because they're not present with themselves. And ultimately, I ask, is that good enough? Should that be enough for, should be all there is? And I get to the point of my videos where I ask, what are you deserving of? And what are your children deserving of? And do they not deserve you to be more engaged? Do they not deserve for you to be more involved? Because that's how your father did it. It doesn't mean that's what you should do. And furthermore, wouldn't you like to have a better relationship with your father? Wouldn't you like to have your father more emotionally involved if that's what was going on? I suspect you would have. So it's time to do it differently. And even if you listen to this video and you haven't turned it off yet because it's annoyed you or you just think I'm full of BS, even if I'm off the mark with these as to what really is going on when men disengage from their kids and they're not emotionally present with their kids, this is a good way of engaging in conversations with your spouse about how we can be better parents. If nothing else, watch it with your spouse and go, what do you think of this? What do you think of this guy? And your spouse may go, no, I don't see you doing that at all, and I disagree with that. And therefore, the conversation has been opened up, and the dialogue is there, and it's better. And for that reason alone, if that is accomplished in this video, I'm a happy life coach. I've hopefully imparted some skills to improve how you guys are parents. So I could be wrong, and I've been told that on many occasions. And frankly, if you think I'm way off the mark with this, please send me an email. I would love to I'd love to see what you think about that. Or if you're in the Edmonton area, I'll interview you and we can have that conversation. Or I'll phone interview you. We can do it and I'll record it. I would love to hear your opinions and whether or not you think I'm off the mark on this. Luc Bouchard with Solve Act Life Coaching Services. I've been a certified life skills coach for 22 years and I specialize in what keeps men stuck and how come they avoid intimacy. I hope you have a great day, and tomorrow is going to be the 34th video, and I will see you then. Take care.